welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Connie, for those of you who don't know, and today I'll be filming my review on this Morphe X Avani Gregg palette. So today I did use a couple of the purple shades in order to create this eye look right here. I do have like a subtle purple look, and then below these lashes you can see that I did use one of the cake liners in the palette. I was really excited to pick up this palette, and I just wanted to post a review and show you guys what I thought about this palette. Before we get into this video, feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because it is free. And let's get on into the video. Okay, to start off, I'm just gonna let you guys know what I have on my face right now. So I do have the Pure 4-in-1 Correcting Primer. And then I have the Smashbox Studio Skin Full Coverage Foundation in the shade 1.2. This is my first time trying this foundation. It is a little bit light for me right now just because I do have the remainder of my self tan on. And then for my powder, I have the Sephora Micro Smooth Powder in the shade Beige. And then for blush and bronzer, I have the Jaclyn Cosmetics Blush and Blushing Bronzer Duo in the shade Warm Flush and Golden Goddess. I also have a little bit of the Ilia bronzer in the shade Drawn In. And then I have a little bit of the Jaclyn Loose Highlighter in the shade Extra on my face. And then on my lips, I just have the Wet n Wild Mega Last Liquid Catsuit in the shade Rebel Rose. So this is what the palette looks like. I love the packaging. So it's just their cardboard packaging. I typically prefer Morphe's cardboard packaging when they have like collabs and stuff like that. So yeah, I was definitely excited to get this when I saw this. I only got the eyeshadow palette just because the bronzer was like way too dark and orange for me. And then I believe she just had a black lip kit and a red lip kit, which neither of those are colors that I would wear. And then she came out with a set of glosses, and there were 4 different glosses in it, and some of them had glitter reflex, and then some of them were like iridescent shades. And I pretty much already have glosses like that in my collection, so I didn't feel like I needed it. So yeah, so I just grabbed the palette. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. This is what the palette looks like. So this 4 rows of shadows right here, those are shadows, like actual eyeshadows. And then the smaller 2 rows up here are actually cake liners. I'm not sure if I'll be testing those out today, but I do want to get into the shadows and see how they are. Hopefully this does work out because I do have work today, and if this doesn't work out, we're just gonna have to go with it, right? So I'm thinking I want to play around with like the purples in this palette. I kind of want to create a purple look and then also play with this shimmer right here. So some of the purples and then this right here. The only thing I would say is that there's no like skin tone shade in here that I can set my eyes with. That's how I prefer to start my eyeshadow looks, so I'll just be reaching into another palette for that. So I'm going to be reaching into this Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. Literally, the lettering has rubbed off on this palette. This is my favorite palette of all time, I believe. Like, if I only needed one eyeshadow palette, like on this earth, this would probably be the palette. So this is what the palette looks like on the inside. You guys can see that I've used a lot of this palette. I'm just going to go into this shade right here to set my lid. This is the shade Momentum. So I'll just be using that to set my lid all over. So I just wanted to zoom you guys in a little bit just so you could see the eyeshadows working. So I'm just going to set my lids really quick using the shade Momentum from the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. So today I'll be using the Morphe 453 tapered blending brush right here. And then I'll probably also be going in with the Morphe M330 brush right there as well. So I think I'm going to start by going in with this shade right here. This is in the shade Maddie Don't Like. M-A-D-I, Maddie. Maddie Don't Like. So this is the one right here. So I'm just taking that shadow and just blending it above my crease. So I do have hooded eyes, so when I do eyeshadow, I just have to make an illusion of where a crease would be to give it more dimension. If I'm looking this way, my mirror is right here, so if you guys are wondering where I'm looking. Usually when I do my eyeshadow, I just use concealer as a base. I don't go in with any primer because that's what works best for me. But while I'm applying the shadow, I can see that it's skipping some patches and not going everywhere that it should. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but there's a slight line right there where it's not picking up any shadow. Yeah, it's like not, I don't know if my skin's just not taking to it, but it really is not picking up any shadow right here. So far, this is what I have as my transition shade. I don't know. I don't think this is the best purple that I've used personally. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the shade next to it. It's called My Fave, this one right here. And then I'm just using the same brush. And I'll be putting that on like the lower outside of my eyelids. The lower outer part of my eyelids. When I do my eyeshadow, I never really want to do anything too intense. I kind of just do like a wash of color, and I don't know, I kind of like the watercolored look. So I just do like a splash of color on my eyelids, and then I go in with like a shimmer on the inside. And that's just how I like to do my everyday eyeshadow looks. So I don't really feel like the two shadows are blending together. Like, it is skipping a lot on my eyelids. So I'm going to go back up and see if it'll try to pick up on that little spot that's not getting covered. So I guess the more I go over it, the more it does pick up, but honestly, I feel like that's too much of a hassle for the shadow. I don't know. And then I also feel like the first color that I used kind of just like went away already. So I'm not sure if it's picking up on camera how purple this actually is. So in person I can see that my lids are like really purple, but I'm not sure looking at the viewfinder if it comes up as purple as it is in person. So I'm just going to keep blending this to see if it can pick up on that little spot right there. So when I do my shadow, I typically just like to close my eyes and run the brush over. That way it can get on the bottom a little bit as well. So I just turn my lights down a little bit so you can see what it looks like right now. And I don't know, I don't think it's picking up on camera like how it looks in person. So now I'm going to be going into this shade right here. It's in LMAO. I always say Lamau when I'm reading people's texts. Like my brain just automatically goes Lamau. So now I'll just be using a flat shader brush and I'm going to try to pick up this color with a brush and see if that does anything. I typically prefer to use shimmers like with my finger, not typically with the brush, but I guess we'll see. So I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but I don't think that's really picking up anything on my eyes. So I'll swatch the colors that I did use on my eyes for you guys. Okay, so here are the 3 shades that I use. They do feel pretty smooth. I can see that there's like kick up already. So the first shade that I use is Maddie Don't Lie. So yeah, the swatches don't really show up that great in my opinion. And so the next one is My Fave. And those look pretty chalky next to each other. And then the last shade is LMAO. So I think the shimmer swatches a lot better than the matte shades. But honestly, you can't really tell by swatches, but it is a little bit chalky. But I am going to go in with LMAO with my finger and see if that helps it at all. Okay, so applying it with my finger definitely helps it a lot better. If you guys can see the difference right there, those are my eyes. But yeah, I definitely recommend applying the shimmers with your finger. That way they can appear a little bit more pigmented. So I'm just going to keep packing it onto my lid with my finger right there. And then I'm going to go back in with my Morphe 453 brush, and I'm just going to be picking up the shade My Fave again. And I'm just going to touch the outside of my lid with that shade a little bit. Then I'm going to switch to my Morphe M330 and pick up the Maddie Don't Lie shade one more time. So after I swatch the palette, now every time I put my brush in it, there's so much fallout. I'm not sure if you guys can see that right there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to try and test this purple cake liner and see if that really does anything, if that works well. Okay, so I have 3 different brushes that I could possibly use with the liners today. So I have a small, like, angled brush right here that I would typically use for my brows. I have this kind of lip pencil shape that I could use. And then I also have this liner brush that I could use as well. So on the palette right here, it says wet your brush before you line. So I'm going to start with that approach right there. And I also have another liner pencil that's a little bit curved, and I'm just going to see if that'll help anymore. So I'm going to start by spraying my liner brush with this Wet n Wild Photo Focus primer water. So I'll be dipping into this purple. It's called Grettles, G-R-E-T-A-L-S. Is that how you say it, Grettles? So my brush is already wet, so I'm just going to dip in it slightly. So when I dip into it, it leaves like the liner looking dark right there. So just we'll see if that does anything. Okay, so I've put a little bit on my upper lash line right there, if you guys can see. I have such a hard time doing liner on camera, but I'm going to be doing my best. So this is what my eye looks like so far. I feel like if I get it too wet, it kind of just rubs off the shadow that I have underneath the liner. So I feel like when I dipped into it a second time, it did help a lot because it was a little bit drier than when I went in initially and it was just like completely wet. I just remembered that I'm meeting my boyfriend's family tonight, like his extended family. And I'm gonna have bright purple eyeshadow on. It'll be fine. It's fine. I think I'm just gonna do like a tiny wing. I don't really want to do anything crazy. Okay, so I'm having a hard time like connecting the wing right there. So I feel like I'm gonna need to wet my brush again. Go back into that shadow. Let me swatch it for you guys. So this is what the liner looks like right there. It's that. Said I didn't want to do anything crazy. So I normally don't wear eyeliner. I used to back in the day, and like when I say back in the day, I mean like in high school, which was like probably 5 years ago. Okay, so this is what the liner looks like so far. I don't really think that, I don't know, I guess it's not terrible. I will say that it doesn't look like I used like a pen to do it or anything like that. If I saw myself walking down the street and I told myself that I used an eyeshadow to do this eyeliner, I probably, yeah, I could see that. But it definitely doesn't look like a liquid liner or a pen liner or anything like that. Okay, so I'm doing my right eye right now, and I realize it's not like an eyeliner where I can just like drag it straight across and there will be pigment or anything like that. I feel like I'm gonna have to like slowly pack it on as I go instead of just dragging it right across like that. I feel like I have to keep re-wetting this like over and over and over to get the same pigmentation. I'm gonna zoom you guys in a little bit more so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can see the difference in what I'm talking about right there. So I just wet my brush again and I'm dipping back into it. So I can't necessarily drag it right across and have it have the same pigmentation. Do you see what I'm talking about? I'm gonna have to like work in smaller sections. Also, please don't judge my liner skills. I used to wear eyeliner every single day and do wings every single day, but I think it's been about like 4 years since I've like actively worn eyeliner every single day. So please bear with me. Okay, so this is both of my eyes finished. I did have to dip in a lot of times in order to build up the pigmentation to match this eye initially. So yeah, this is what my eyeliner looks like right now. I don't know. I don't hate it is what I'm gonna say. So my wings are uneven. They're always uneven. I just haven't done eyeliner in a long time, and I have two different shaped eyes, and it's always so hard for me to get my wings even. And so yeah, this is what the look turned out to be. So I definitely don't hate it, and yeah, I don't know. I don't mind it. I think I can still see how patchy it is right here where the eyeshadow was being blended, but I don't hate the liners. And the reason why I got the palette wasn't because of the eyeshadows. It was because I wanted to try a palette with cake liners because I had never seen anything like that before. So I'm going to zoom you guys out, and I'm going to swatch a couple more shades, and I'm just going to compare it to other Morphe palettes. Okay, we're back, and I put on some eyelashes by Eyeliner. They're in the style Robe. And, right, okay, yeah, they're in the style Robe. So this is what they look like. I had to trim off so much of these lashes. If you guys literally can see, I have such, I don't know if my eyes are just small, but I had to trim off like a whole chunk of these lashes. Cutting off these lashes, I realized they're still too long. They're still too long, but they're already on my eyes, and I'm just gonna have to go with it. But yeah, so this is the final look with the eyeshadow using the Morphe Avani Gregg palette. You can see my liner tucked away underneath the lashes. I guess I should have gone with the more natural pair of lashes if you wanted to see the liner, but honestly, I don't really mind it. But yeah, I feel like if I close my eyes, you can see the liner, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not looking at myself, so it's okay. But yeah, I do like the palette, what I used so far. So these are the 4 shades and liners that I did use today. I want to show you guys this liner. So I curled my lashes with the liner on, and I was questioning if it would pull off the liner itself or not, and it didn't at all. So I liked that. So I swatched it on my hand, and I just wanted to see like if I rubbed it, if it would come off or not. So the more I rub the liner, it takes it off like on the surface, but it does stain my hand. So it stays there. It doesn't like move around or anything like that. It just gets dull and comes off. But otherwise, it's still pretty good. It does stay in place, and it does leave a stain behind. So I feel like I'm going to be seeing a little bit of staining when I remove my liner tonight. But other than that, I do enjoy the look that I have on my eyes right now. So I did say that I was going to zoom out and compare this eyeshadow palette with another Morphe collab. So another one of the Morphe collabs that I do have is the Morphe 24A Artist Pass. This is their collab with Saweetie. And let me just show you guys the difference. So right here we have the Avani one, and then right here we have the Morphe Saweetie one. So I really enjoy the Saweetie one right here when I need to reach for a pop of color. I've also created a purple look out of this as well, and I just wanted to show you guys the difference because I really enjoy the purple that they have in here. The purples kind of do look similar on the eyes, and I feel like I can create this exact look using the Saweetie palette. So I'm just going to be swatching the Saweetie palette next to the shades that I used from the Avani palette. So swatching the purples in the Morphe Saweetie palette, I swatched Secret Set, which is this highlighter right here. I swatched Major Inspo, which is this purple right here, and then I swatched Stage Persona, which is this one right here. So obviously these two shades are a little bit different, but if we look at the deeper purple and the iridescent purple shades, they look pretty similar. And if I were to use these shades at the bottom from the Saweetie palette in place of the ones from the Avani palette, I feel like I can create basically the same exact eye look. The only difference is that the one from the Saweetie palette is just a little bit lighter, and then obviously it doesn't come with the cake liner, but other than that, I feel like I can create this same exact look using the Saweetie one, like I said. But yeah. Other than that, I am going to definitely test out the other shades. So far from my first impression, I really did enjoy the purple cake liner. If you guys see though, it does leave a spot from where I dipped in multiple times, and so I guess I'll see if that creates any hard pan or anything like that. But so far I did enjoy the shadows and the liner that I did use. So I think I'm going to swatch 2 more shades and see if they are pigmented. Or I'm going to go in with 3, I think. Okay, so I went in with 4 shades. I went in with Seaweed, this green right here, and then Avani, this blue right here. I swatched Beep Boop, this yellow one right here, and then You Mad, question mark, this orange right here. So I'm just going to be swatching those for you guys to see. Yeah, so they look a little bit chalkier than, yeah, so the swatches look pretty chalky, but then again, it'll probably look different on the eyes, but yeah, I really do like those colors. Those are so pretty. But yeah, it definitely, I don't know, I never really judge things by swatches, but it does come off a little bit chalky there. Overall, I really did enjoy using this palette. I don't really have any complaints other than when you use the liner, you just have to go back in a couple more times, and then, I don't know, some of the shadows just weren't picking up in this little spot right there, but honestly, from far away you can't really tell. So I'm not mad at this palette, and I definitely look forward to testing it out more. So yeah, I'm definitely excited that I picked this up, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So that was everything for today's video. That was my review on the Morphe x Avani Gregg palette. I really appreciate you guys watching my videos and supporting my channels. And before you leave, feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because it is free. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!